place have to actually understand some of these fundamental social and cultural values that's explored through work such as this. So I suggest in closing that you might be interested to have a look at this website. I'll write it on the board so you can read it, and think a bit about how these underlying social values create the context in which environmental policy is playing out, and how understanding some of these underlying values might help us create better environmental policy. So that's what I want to say for now, and I look forward to working with you in the course. And that's it. Sorry, I finished. So we want to move now from talking about the way in which we're approaching the course, the background we bring to it, to talk about how the course is structured. And those of you who've taken courses with me before, who have seen this slide before, there's a set of well-established principles in tertiary education about what is effective in helping students learn. Our job is to help you learn. Here's a set of principles that I think are pretty self-explanatory, and we developed the way that this course is organised, the way that it's structured, the way that we're asking you to participate, and the way that the assessment is structured to try to give effect to these principles. And I hope by the time we complete the course you'll feel that we have done that. That's all I want to say.
So just to pick up on what Peter was saying, just a few ideas about what I think teaching is, and it relates to all those points that Peter just made. Often it's about making connections between what you know and what you don't know. So you've always, as I said at the beginning of the course, come from different disciplines, but we want to get you to use that knowledge to get into new headspaces in terms of just thinking about maybe something you did in biology. What does that actually mean in terms of developing geology? Teaching and learning is a very rewarding discipline, because you can see it does actually make a difference. You can hear from students 5, 10 years later saying, I actually did learn something about it, it was actually useful in my life, in my workplace, or more generally. So some of the principles that underline how I teach and influence the so we need to be opportunistic, intuitive, and iterative. So we're always hopefully improving this course each year. We're always looking for feedback from you. If a big issue comes up on a Thursday, we'll try to reflect that in the lecture on a Friday. We need to think of other ways of doing this, about how we teach and how we learn. We need to help you to learn, so we're encouraging very much some lifelong learning skills, so in 10, 20 or 30 years' time, you're still able to learn. Often people now talk about the half-life of knowledge and how what you all learn at university is half of it's irrelevant for 3 or 4 or 5 years. So obviously you need to be able to keep learning for yourself. Talked about the peer learning already. I'm trying to give you some ownership as much of the learning process as well. So when you explore the resources on how the tutorials are run, the facilitation is very much up to you how you run the topics. So the topics are there's lots of reading, but I'm asking you as individuals, or actually in pairs usually, to run that tutorial. And the SIP tutorial that you have to go to just one of those is a workshop where we get everybody together who's running the 5 separate tutorials the following week and share your ideas. So we're here to obviously share our interest and passion for this field, and as Peter's already alluded to, we're not the sages on the stage at the front here, but we're guides on the side. We're not saying we know everything about this discipline, but we're trying to become experts in the area yourself. Look at the assessment. We're trying to often push you away from rote learning to more deeper approaches. So people can, there's a lot been written about surface approaches to learning to deeper approaches. And surface approaches often is about learning and then rote learning and then regurgitating information. Whereas the deeper approach is more about understanding and looking at how knowledge can be transformed by understanding. I'll just skip over these and you can come back to those if you're interested. And this is yours again.
Yeah. Again, some of you will have seen this in classes that I've taken before, and it's again from forestry, because that's my area of specialist knowledge, but I don't think it's confined to the forestry arena. I think it's much more general in natural resources and environment, and I suspect more widely. If you read the list And this is a very revealing list to me, and it's shaped how I think, it's one example of the information that's shaped how we think about the way that we're structuring this course and other courses in the school. Because to me what that says, paraphrasing at the bottom, is that if you're going to be successful in environmental management, you need a knowledge base, but you need a knowledge base that's in both the social and the natural sciences, and you need capacity to draw on that knowledge base, integrate it, and apply it through communication with people who are not professional specialists, but who are others that you need to engage with to bring about change. So to me, the example that this survey provides represents a very clear articulation of the reasons why we've structured the learning in this course and in the school the way that we have. And I guess I'm hoping that by the time you finish this course, you'll be better equipped in the general terms, not the specific terms, but the general terms underlying it, to bring those sorts of skills into effect in whatever arena you choose to be working in. Okay, that's the end of the commentary.
So in terms of the assessment, you'll see some focus on synthesis and communicating. So in terms of what the assessment that we're proposing is a briefing paper. Now each of these examples, if you go to the web page, there's lots of examples of previous student briefing papers, guides to facilitation, essays and web pages, and lots of examples of learning portfolios. So the best way to get a feel of what we expect is to look on the web page at those things. The briefing paper is something probably we've done previously. So it's a role play where you pretend you're somebody and you tell he or I who will go to a tutorial, the tutor will be there as well, who we are. So you're briefing perhaps the Prime Minister about the need to develop a carbon trading system. So then you've got to think about who you are. You've got to make it realistic so that you're being assessed on doing something that's credible. You can't be saying, people should stop shopping tomorrow and we'll save the world that way, because people aren't going to stop shopping tomorrow and they can't really save the world that way. But it's thinking of something that is credible, realistic. And there'll be lots of, as I said, there's examples on the webpage on how to do that. That's right at the end of the course, so we see it as a kind of capstone to the course where you bring together all the things you've learned. So anybody got any sort of particular questions about that briefing paper?
Is it meant to be 10% oral and 10% written? Or?
It is, so yeah, that's a typo, thank you. So that's 30% last year, so I carefully changed the first one, that's 10 and 10. That's the web page reflects that. If you find any mistakes on the web page, please tell me, I'm sure there's lots. So it's quite an epic task each year to go through several hundred links there to make sure they're all consistently updated. So we've changed all the dates and tweaked the assessment a little bit after some feedback from last year that they thought the written component was too strong. There's 25% which we're based on facilitating tutorial. And again, perhaps this is something that's new to you. Many former students get back to me and reflect on this being the single most valuable learning experience in this course was getting some skills in facilitating learning and others. So you've all been in tutorials and you've all seen a tutor trying to get people to talk, trying to bring out ideas. Well, now you're in that position yourself. And there's nothing like teaching to help you learn something. So your role is to structure a class that's effective learning. Again, there are criteria and examples of proof examples of the information on how to run that. So the preparation takes, if I can remember off the top of my head, 3 separate forms. So that 10% is in 3 separate bits of assessment. The super tutorials was already spoken to a week before you have to run the tutorial, and because of the class size, you'll be running community as for the second person. So you come to the super tutorial with your ideas, your individual ideas on how you're going to run the class. So you might say, I want everyone to read this, look at the ABC program or the podcast on that, and just come with 3 or 4 short answers to these questions. That is your super tutorial summary of your ideas on how to run the class, and that short summary will be assessed. Then when you come to the tutorial,